Ignore, belittle, and smear concerned, sincere Americans across the country who oppose socialized medicine. Then he was mad when he saw what Obama and his administration were doing to this great country. So a few months ago, he spoke up and started blogging to several Tea Party groups around the country, and he's been letting America know just how barking mad he is. 2 weeks ago, he was featured on the front page of the Orange County Register, who called him the Tea Party's barking dog. And he's been called a lot of names, but he's really serious, thoughtful, sometimes humorous as a commentator on what's happening to our great country. So please welcome Brian Watt, the barking dog of the radical right.
Time to fight!
So I just have one question. Is it global warming, or is just everything around Al Gore hot?
He's a sex poodle!
So I am Brian Watt. I am the barking dog of the radical right. That's not on my birth certificate. But that's the name of my website, barkingdogoftheradicalright.com. So I would encourage all of you to go there, and there's a lot of good resources, good information. But you see, I figured to get the attention of leftists, progressives, Marxists, socialists, in short, most of those folks who work in the White House and on Capitol Hill, then you need a name that they can easily find. A name they're used to hurling around as great patriots like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and Glenn Beck. The Tea Party is spread across the American landscape like wildfire. And by your heartfelt patriotism, by your passion to adhere to the rule of law and the Constitution, to stand up against representatives in Congress who don't represent the people, we're changing the hearts and minds of millions of other frustrated and angry Americans who are coming to understand that when Barack Obama said he would fundamentally transform America, he meant precisely that. To steal your hard-earned money and spread it around. That's called socialism. And that is completely opposite to the principles on which this great nation was founded. And we're not going to put up with it. I personally know, and you probably know, once proud liberal friends whose eyes have been opened and who now stand with us. And with our voices, we're going to continue to change the hearts and minds all the way to the ballot box this November. We're going to do that because no matter how leftist pundits try to smear decent, hard-working, and unemployed Americans from every racial and ethnic group, more Americans continue to stand with us because they hear the bald-faced lies and outright distortions from the Obama administration and from Pelosi, Reid, Barney Frank, Maxine Waters, and Barbara Boxer. They see what's happening to America, what's happening in Europe, and across and around the world. And they're coming to realize that the path we're on is not because of incompetence in Washington, but because it's by design, and part of a larger plan to turn this country into another socialist regime. These Marxist-inspired politicians are using what in the 1930s came to be known as the big lie. Let me give you an example. When Democrats were on the verge of passing the unconstitutional socialized medicine law, here's what Nancy Pelosi said in the well of the House when she invoked the Declaration of Independence. I quote, "We will honor the vows of our founders, who in the Declaration of Independence said that we are all endowed with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Let me educate the short-term Speaker of the House. The Declaration of Independence, that inspired document, was penned to beat back unfettered control of totalitarianism, not embrace it. Our life, our liberty, our pursuit of happiness, we intended to occur without government's guiding hand, or bludgeoning club, or threat of imprisonment if we refuse to purchase an insurance policy from a private company. That, my friends, flies in the face of what the Declaration of Independence is all about. And the Supreme Court, we pray, will be wise enough to strike the law down, because the government should never be allowed to force you to engage in commerce against your will, or force you to eat only certain kinds of food. That is not freedom, that is not liberty, that is tyranny. In May of 1989, I was in London when the news hit that the free elections were finally held in the Soviet Union. And communists for the first time were suddenly outnumbered in the Congress of People's Deputies. Something amazing had just happened, but a lot more amazing things were about to happen. When I returned to Los Angeles, I turned on the television, and like most of you, witnessed the protest in Tiananmen Square, when courageous Chinese students, a vast sea of young people, were crying out and demanding freedom. On May 29th, Tiananmen Square was packed with over 1 million people. And the Chinese students built a replica of the Statue of Liberty. Think about that for a minute. What country did the Chinese students look to as an example for liberty and freedom? They looked to us. They looked to America. American reporters on the scene, not typically known for their piercing intellect, shoved microphones into the students' faces and asked questions like, "What do you mean you want freedom? What does that mean?" Asking questions like this, mind you, of young people, some of whose parents and relatives had been imprisoned, tortured, starved, and murdered by their own government for over 70 years. I don't think the leftist media learned much since 1989. Do you? I think they still don't have a clue what freedom really means. But I think this November, they're going to get a lesson in freedom.